So to define the integral, the next thing what we require is to partition the domain. Okay, so if the domain of a function, so in Riemann integral of function of one variable, you have seen how to partition a closed interval AB. So if you have a closed interval AB, okay, closed interval AB, then to partition this line segment, what we require is we require a collection of points P, where A is x0, x1, x2, then xi minus 1, xi and xl is equal to B, such that these are they satisfy certain order relation. That means x0 less than x1, x1 less than x2, x2 is less than x3 and so on and so on. Means they satisfy, every next point is to the right of the previous one, okay, and the last point is the end point of the interval. Okay, so to partition a closed interval AB, what we require? We require an ordered set of points. Okay, and so to partition closed interval AB or a line segment AB, we require points. Remember, these points will divide or make a partition of this closed interval AB into subintervals. Okay, how many subintervals? Okay, this is the first one. See, this is first one, that is x0, x1, closed interval x0, x1, closed interval x1, x2, and so on and so on. Okay, this is first, this is second, and this is the ith subinterval xi minus 1, xi, and so on and so on. You will get how many? L subintervals. Okay, so in general, okay, so this partition will divide this closed interval AB into L subintervals, closed and bounded subintervals, L subintervals. Okay, where, and this is I runs from 1 to up to L. Okay, so these are the subintervals or subparts of this small subparts. Okay, now how many subparts you have to make? As many subparts you will make. Okay, as many subparts you will make, that many subintervals we will get, and you will get the integral of a function, okay, in a nice way. So now you have to see what is the norm of a partition. Norm of a partition. What do we know norm? So see, as these are these points, they divide this interval into small subintervals. Okay, so each subinterval has certain length. Okay, not necessarily that all these subintervals should be of equal length. Okay, they may be of unequal length. Okay, so the length of, now as these are the subintervals, what is the length? Okay, what is their length? Their length is xi minus 1, because always xi is greater than xi minus 1, so no need of mod to measure the length. Okay, so for each of the subinterval, measure this length. Okay, you will find one of the subinterval whose length is maximum, that is supremum. Okay, so you choose supremum of, okay, I may put mod also, not necessary, such that I runs from 1 to L, means you are having all these values of the length of the subintervals. Okay, so supremum of the length of subintervals. Okay, how many sub lengths you will have? As many subintervals are there, that many lengths you will have. Okay, so you choose supremum amongst all these, and that supremum length of a subinterval from the partition of the interval is called as norm of partition, and it is denoted by norm P. Okay, so norm of a partition is, in case of a closed interval in R, the norm of a partition is the supremum length of a subinterval. Okay, now come to the partition of a rectangle in R2. Suppose you have a rectangle E, okay, E, which is AB cross CD, means Cartesian product of these two closed intervals. Okay, so this is AB, this is your CD, okay, and length and cross product of these two is this cross product of this interval and this interval this line segment and this line segment is the rectangle E. Okay, now to partition this means this is a rectangle which is also called as a closed interval in R2. Okay, so to partition this means to make small parts of it. Okay, as it is a rectangle, its small part will be sub-rectangles. Okay, now to do this, we have to partition both the edges AB as well as CD. Okay, so we will partition AB, we will partition CD. So suppose P1 is the partition of the edge AB or side AB. Okay, so as usual here, similarly, okay. So x1, x2, similarly xi minus 1, xi and so on and so on. Suppose xl is equal to b, and let p2 be the partition of this another side of the rectangle. Okay, so that is y0, y1 and so on and so on. Suppose this is yj minus 1, yj, okay, and so on and so on. Yn is equal to this is d, another end point. Okay, so these points, they will divide this interval into small sub intervals. Okay, now so thus I have points in between A and B, points in between C and D, point from these two sets P1 and P2. Now by using these points, okay, so what I will do is now draw lines parallel to the this is x-axis, this is y-axis, coordinate axis means x-axis and y-axis. Now draw lines parallel to the coordinate axis passing through the points of P1 and P2. Okay, so draw lines parallel to y-axis which pass through the points of AB. Okay, the points of AB is the points which lie between A and B, that is from a partition P1. Okay, so draw lines parallel to the y-axis passing through the points of P1. So these lines, draw similarly lines parallel to x-axis passing through the points of P2. And these lines, so lines drawn parallel to the coordinate axis through the points of P1 and P2 will divide the rectangle E into sub-rectangles. Okay, these sub-rectangles EIJ. Okay, where EIJ is, this is EIJ. Okay, any IJ sub-rectangle. So how it is? It is the Cartesian product of this sub-interval and this sub-interval. So xi minus 1 xi cross yj minus 1 yj. Okay, and both. Okay, so here I runs from 1 to L and j runs from 1 to n. Okay, so you will have such L into n number of sub-rectangles. So this is how we partition a rectangle E is equal to AB cross CD in R2. Okay. Now, whenever we are doing theory, so see, when I draw the lines parallel to coordinate axis passing through the point of P1, so these are the lines and these are the lines. So these points, this point and this point and this point, what are the coordinates of this point or this point and all these points? Okay, so they will be the cross product of P1 cross P1 and P2. So P1 cross P2. What is P1 cross P2? Yes, it is set upon order pair xy such that x belongs to P1 and y belongs to P2. Okay, so x comes from this, y comes from this. Okay, for example, x0, y0. So okay, so this point is x0, y0. Then x0, y1. x0, y1 is this point. Okay, so this is how you will have all the points. Okay, and such a collection of points is called as partition of this rectangle E, in other words. Okay, so the Cartesian product of these two forms a partition of the rectangle in R2. Okay, so this is how we partition a rectangle in R2. Now we will go to a closed interval in R3, which is also called as a cuboid or rectangular box in R3. Okay, now how we define it? Okay, how we define a cuboid in R3? So if AB cross CD cross EF, it is nothing but cuboid is the cross product of these three intervals, closed intervals, AB cross CD cross EF. Okay, so same logic is used to partition this cuboid. So partition AB, partition CD, and partition EF. Okay, so like this, suppose P1 is partition of AB, P2 is partition of CD. So this is AB, this side is AB, this is CD. Okay, that means this is CD, or this is CD, or this is CD. This is EF, or this is EF, this is EF. Okay, so partition all these edges of the cuboid. Okay, as this figure is a cuboid. Okay, see, if you partition this, if you partition a room, okay, how we partition a room? To partition a room, we will require either some material, which is, for example, a plywood can be used to partition a room. Now, what is a plywood? Plywood is just like our board. It is two-dimensional. It is a plane. Okay, so a plane can be used. See, I have told you points can be used to partition a line segment. Lines can be used to partition a rectangle. Okay, so we are adding one dimension. Okay, so here to partition a cuboid, you require planes. And how should be these planes now? We will see a short while. Okay, so now this is P1 partition of AB, partition of this CD, and partition of EF. Suppose this is E is equal to Z0 and Z1 and so on, and suppose ZK minus 1, ZK and so on, and suppose Z say Q is say F. Okay, then as I have told you, then P1 cross P2 cross P3. Okay, so that is which is set of all points X, Y, Z. Okay, such that X belongs to P1, Y belongs to P2, and Z belongs to P3. Okay, so such a collection is partition of the cuboid. Now, how this set, the points from this set will divide the cuboid? Okay, so to divide the cuboid or to partition the cuboid, what you have to do is you have to draw planes parallel to the coordinate planes. What do you mean by coordinate planes? Here we have seen coordinate axis, x-axis, y-axis. Now coordinate planes, xy plane. For example, suppose if you are in a room, sitting in a room, then suppose on the ground you are taking x-axis and y-axis, then the ground is xy plane. If you are considering z-axis perpendicular to both x and y, then one of the side of the room will be, vertical side will be the xz plane, another will be yz plane. Okay, so this is xy plane, this is yz plane, because any point here, okay, y-axis and z, this is yz plane, this is xz plane. So what you do is to partition the cuboid, you draw planes parallel to the coordinate planes, okay, passing through the points of P. Then these planes will divide the cuboid C into subcuboids Cijk, okay, which is just as here was our subrectangle. Similarly, this subcuboid will be the Cartesian product of three sub intervals from the interval AB and interval CD and interval cross say ZK minus 1 ZK. Okay, and how many subcuboids? Because ijk are variable, I runs from 1 to L, J runs from 1 to N, and K runs from 1 to Q. Okay, so you will have L and Q number of subcuboids. Okay, so this is how we partition a cuboid by using planes parallel to the coordinate planes passing through the points of P. Okay, and whenever we define the integral, so what we require is we require the infimum and supremum of a function f over ik, or I will write here say ith sub interval. What is ith sub interval? Ith sub interval is xi minus 1 xi. So what I require is infimum value of the function on, function is defined on whole of AB in case of one variable. Okay, so we require infimum value of the function on the small part of the domain AB. You require infimum value of f on this your function. In the case of two variable function will be defined on E, f from E to R. So in that case, you will require, when defining the Riemann integral, we require the value of the function, infimum value of the function and supremum value of the function on this ij subrectangle. Okay, and in case of three variables or in triple integral, when defining triple integral, what you require is infimum value and supremum value of the function f, because f is defined on whole of this C. So you require value of the function, infimum and supremum values of the function on each of the subcuboid, because I run from 1 to n, because you consider all subcuboids. Okay, so this is how we require infimum and supremum of f on the subparts of AB, closed interval AB in case of function of one variable, a subrectangle in case of function of two variable, and a subcuboid in case of any subcuboid in case of function of three variable. Okay, now once you know the infimum value and supremum value of a function f, okay, on any ith subinterval. Suppose for example, in case of, say, what I will do is, for the sake of simplicity, I will take this variable as k. Okay, xk minus 1 xk, doesn't matter, last value is important, k runs from 1 to l there. Okay, suppose this is mk, small mk. Okay, small mk is infimum value of function f of x such that x belongs to xk minus 1 xk or xi minus 1 xi. This is mi, doesn't matter. Okay, so infimum value of f in case of one variable, this is small mk, capital Mk is supremum value of the function f on this kth subinterval or this ith subinterval, doesn't matter. Okay, if you go to two variables, okay, then this infimum and supremum values of the function, how we define here on Eij, in case of Eij, so we define these values are small mij and capital Mij. Infimum value of f on infimum value of f of xy such that xy belongs to Eij. So, okay, infimum value of the function on Eij, I runs from 1 to l, j runs from 1 to l, whatever may be the variables. Okay, similarly this is the supremum value of f, okay, on Eij. Okay, so small mij and capital Mij. Okay, as you know, always infimum is less than or equal to supremum. Infimum is less than or equal to supremum. So mij, small mij less than or equal to capital Mij. Okay, similarly if you go to the cuboid, okay, then how you define the infimum? Okay, just there will be a generalization such that xyz belongs to ci gk. Okay, infimum value of the function f, that is f of xyz, such that xyz, this point, कुठे येतो the point, so that point comes from Cij, any subcuboid. I runs from 1 to l, j runs from 1 to n, and k runs from 1 to q. Okay, similarly you define the supremum of f on Cij. Okay, so this is how we define infimum of a function f on the subparts or the parts from the partition. Okay, subinterval, subrectangle, and a subcuboid. Okay, now once you know these infimum values and supremum values of a function, okay, now we will go on defining the lower sum, upper sum of a function f, okay, with respect to a partition P that you are considering. Okay, now in case of function of one variable, okay, once it is clear for a function of one variable, it will be obviously very clear for function of two variable and three variable, because all these are just the analogous generalization, okay, of function of one variable case. Okay, so how we define Riemann sum in case of one variable? I will tell you immediately. Riemann sum, okay, Riemann sum denoted by this notation SFP or SPF, anything easy. Okay, it is in case of one variable now. Okay, so I will write k runs from 1 to n, okay, or k runs from 1 to l, doesn't matter. Okay, f of tk into delta k. What is delta k here? Delta k is length of the subinterval. Okay, xk minus 1. Okay, so it is sum of value of the function at any point of the kth subinterval and its length or its width. Okay, so this is how we define Riemann sum. It is sum of value of the function at any point of the subinterval and multiplied by length of the subinterval. Okay, so k runs from 1 to l. Okay, so now if you, instead of considering value of the function at any point, which, see, we are considering here kth subinterval, xk minus 1 xk or ith subinterval, what it may be. So kth subinterval, kth subinterval or ith subinterval, doesn't matter in the notation. Okay, so value of this here is tk, any point tk. We are considering here value of the function at any point tk. Considering value of the function at any point tk, if you consider infimum value of the function on this part. So what is infimum value? How we denote it? We denote the infimum value of a function by small mk. Okay, so into delta k. Okay, so here I have considered, instead of considering any value of the function, we consider infimum value of the function over the kth subinterval. Okay, and this is performed for all k runs from 1 to n, and if you add all these, so resulting number is called as, this will be some number, definite number. Okay, it is called as lower Riemann sum of function f with respect to partition P that you are considering. Okay, that is under consideration. Okay, similarly, if you consider the supremum value of the function on this interval, okay, then the resulting Riemann sum is called as upper Riemann sum of function f, okay, with respect to partition P, k runs from 1 to n. So this is how we define Riemann lower sum and Riemann upper sum. Okay, so see, these are the formulas, okay, where we multiply and add two numbers, okay, infimum value into length of the subinterval, and so this is true for k is 1. Okay, if you take k is equal to 1, then this is m1 delta 1 in plus m2 into delta 2 plus m3 into delta 3 plus and so on and so on. Okay, so these are the sum of the products of what? Infimum value into width, infimum value into length or width. Okay, here supremum value into width or length. Okay, similar corresponding terms, the resulting sums or numbers, they are called as lower sum and upper sum. What is the geometrical meaning of this? So in case of function of one variable, okay, so suppose this is your suppose here is your a, okay, suppose this is interval ab and this is graph of the function. Your function is y is equal to f of x. If this is graph, okay, so you have these partitions, okay, so these are the points of partitions. Okay, so if you consider these, okay, now on the first subinterval, okay, we will go one by one. Okay, on the first subinterval, this is x0 x1, closed interval x0 x1. On this subinterval, okay, what is the infimum value of the function? Value of the function is y coordinate, that is value of the function. Okay, if you look at the value points here, okay, if you consider any point here in between x0 and x1, and if you consider corresponding y's, okay, then corresponding to x0, this is the y, corresponding to this x1, this is the y. Okay, so corresponding to x0, the resulting y is minimum, corresponding to x1, the resulting y is maximum. Okay, so this is infimum value of the function over this interval, and this value is the supremum value of the function on this subinterval. Okay, so this is small m1 because this is the first subinterval, and this is capital M1, supremum value of the function on the first subinterval. Similarly, go on defining, suppose this is now my kth subinterval, okay, kth subinterval. Okay, so now if we consider this subinterval, then this is small mk and this is capital mk, this is capital mk, this is small mk here, and this is capital mk here. Okay, small mk, capital mk. Okay, now What is the geometrical meaning of this? M1 into delta 1. So see here, this M1, this is M1, small m1 into delta 1. Okay, so M1 into delta 1. What does this will give you? M1 into delta 1 will give you area of the rectangle with height M1 and width delta 1 or length delta 1. Okay, similarly M2, go on taking k is equal to 2. So yes, this is small m2 now and this is delta 2. It is the width. Height into width will give you area of this rectangle, then area of this rectangle, and so on and so on and so on. Okay, so go on doing this, performing this. Okay, and take the sum. So what you will get is area of this shaded portion up to this spot. Okay, now when we define integral, actually what is the geometrical meaning of integral of a function? Integral of a function means area under the curve lying between these two lines. Okay, so this curve, these two lines and this x-axis, total area under the curve bounded by x is equal to a and x is equal to b and x-axis. That is what geometrical meaning of integral. And if you consider this sum, it will not give you actual area under the curve. It will give you, yes, area which is smaller than the actual area. Now, if you, this is my partition. Okay, now see, what I will do is, if I add one more point to this partition, 1 or 2 or 3 points, then the resulting new partition is called as refinement of previous partition P. Okay, you have studied all these things. What is refinement of a partition? Go on adding some points to the previous partition, you will get refinement. Now if I will refine, for example, suppose here I will consider a larger one here. Okay, now this is the area now for lower sum. If I add a point here in between this to the previous partition, previously these were the 2 points. If I add this now, see, previously I was having this area. Okay, now if I add one more point, so what I will get is now this new rectangle, and now this much area of this rectangle and this area. So see, previously I was to get this much area. Now because of the point I have this line, and because of it I have this area. So this much area is added now to the previous one. So if we refine a partition, refinement of a partition increases the lower sum. Okay, so this is how refining a partition will increase the lower sum. Okay, and actually want the area under the curve, so you have to, that means you have to increase the number of points. So your L should tend to, yes, larger and larger values. So if L tends to infinity, the sub-intervals will be of smaller and smaller width. That means norm of the partition will be tending to, if L tends to infinity, number of points tends to infinity, these points, smaller and smaller sub-interval, norm of the partition means length of the largest sub-interval also will tend to 0. Okay, so that is what the meaning. That means norm of P less than delta and all these things we have learned. Okay, so this is all about geometrical meaning of lower sum. Similarly, you consider upper sum. Okay, in case of upper sum, just I will give you one sample only because of the limitation. Okay, so in case of upper sum, this is smaller value, small mk, and this is capital Mk. So capital Mk, if you take rectangles of the height of capital Mk and this width, what you get is area of these sub-rectangles, and you will get area more than actual area under the curve. Okay, so now we want area under the curve. So for that, what you do is partition this, add one more point. If you add one more point, what you get is, yes, I have added one more point now. Okay, to this, if I add one more point, yes, on this part you will get this much, on this part you will get this much, and previously you were getting this much area, so this has been lost. So if we refine a partition, then upper sum decreases. Okay, so go on refining. So as here L tends to infinity, norm of the partition will tend to 0. Okay, so refinement of a partition decreases the upper sum. Okay, so this is the geometrical meaning of lower sum and upper sum. Okay, now see, if I want actual area under the curve, then it should be lower sum should go on increasing, upper sum should go on decreasing. So largest lower sum, and now this is one of the partition, and I am telling you to refine the partitions. Okay, so how many partitions you will have? Infinitely many. Okay, so collect and corresponding to each partition you will get a lower sum and a upper sum. Okay, so collect all lower sums. Suppose SL, set of all lower sums. Okay, such that P is a partition of your AB. Okay, closed interval AB, or okay, no, it doesn't matter. It may be closed interval AB or your rectangle or cuboid, doesn't matter. Procedure is the same. Okay, so this is set of what? Lower. How many lower sums? Infinitely many, because if any interval AB can have infinitely many partitions. Okay, so you will have infinitely many lower sums. Okay, lower sum is after all a number, finite number. Okay, so infinitely many, and you choose largest one. So largest member of this set means supremum of this set. So largest lower sum. Okay, supremum SL. This is largest lower sum, and it will be approximately equal to area under the curve. Okay, and it is called as lower. It is called as lower Riemann integral of F. Largest lower sum is called as lower Riemann integral of F. Similarly, if you collect all upper sums, okay, of function F, okay, then so that P is a partition. Okay, you require the smallest one. Okay, because partition, refinement of a partition decreases the upper sum, so smallest upper sum. So infimum, as we have already studied, it is called as upper integral. Okay, this is called as lower integral. Okay, different notations are there. Okay, LF or RL. Okay, or RU or UF, upper integral of F. Okay, so smallest upper sum is called as upper Riemann integral. If these two are equal, these two numbers are equal, that is L of F, lower upper integral, is equal to lower integral is equal to upper integral, then the common value is called as integral of F and denoted by this notation, F of x dx over a to b. Lower integral may be denoted sometimes a to b by this notation below bar, and this may be denoted by this notation above bar F. Okay, so if these two are equal, common value is called as Riemann integral. Okay, and it is denoted by this notation. So all these things you have learned in your second year. Okay, so same thing, similarly, see, very similar to Riemann sum, SFP here for function of one variable. Instead of one variable, you just add one more variable here, Tij or Tijk, Tij delta ij, or Tijk delta ijk. Okay, and what you will get is lower sum, upper sum, Mij, capital Mij, Mijk, this Mijk, and so on and so on. So all these things are similar. Okay, so this is how we define integral of a function. Okay, I think you might have followed all these things. Okay, thank you very much.